we have 26 people, and I think there are some people still joining in. Okay, while you are in the call, just type in the chat like which country you're from. Like everyone just type. I want to see how many people are from each country. Okay, India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Japan, wow, Nepal, Sri Lanka, many from Sri Lanka. Morocco, wow, amazing. Okay, cool. All right, so let me start my session. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this part, and thank you for coming to the Singapore space. My name is Phoebe, and I'm the current country president of AIESEC in Singapore. So very nice to meet all of you. So I'm here today to share a bit more about how my country, Singapore, adapted to COVID-19. What are some of the things that we did, the things that the government did as well. And if you have any questions, just feel free to type on the chat, and I will get to your questions. Okay. So there isn't any like awkward black box in the screen, right? Just to confirm, right? If there's any of such, you just let me know. Okay. Want to make sure that this is a good experience for every one of you. So the agenda is as such. The first and foremost, I will share an overview of the current situation in Singapore, the aggressive contact tracing, isolation, and quarantine measures that we have taken in the country. The 3-phase approach. So Singapore took there is a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, which we name it as such. So I'm going to share with you what each phase is about. Next is building public trust through clear and transparent communications. And last but not least, advancing as one Singapore, as well as the 3 resets that I'm going to share with you. So type in the chat, okay, what is the first word that comes to your mind when I say Singapore? The first word, like immediately, that comes to your mind. Clean, Malayan. Oh, okay, Malayan. Tushani, you know Malayan. Rain, lion, Malayan. Okay. So many Malayan. Okay, clean city, brave, amazing, lovely buildings. Okay, that's pretty nice. In Singapore, there is a lot of high-rise buildings because Singapore is a really small country. Lee Kuan Yew. Okay, organized. Okay, so just a fun fact. I'm not sure how many of you actually know the actual size of Singapore. So from one end to the other end of Singapore, right? You just take like a 2 hours drive. You can reach from one end of Singapore to the other end of Singapore. Yeah. And if you ask like, oh, what city are you from? There is no city because Singapore is the city. Yeah, just fun fact. Yeah, okay, if you guys can turn on the camera and can see all of you, that would be amazing. But yeah, up to you guys. Developed city, neighbor, nice. Okay, so this is really interesting to get to know what is the perspective of what you guys see Singapore as. So I'm going to continue, okay? First, I'm going to share a context overview because I'm someone who really believes in understanding the context of things before knowing what the measures are, right? So, okay, so this is the situation in Singapore right now. We have 61,585 confirmed cases since the start of COVID-19. And then in total, we had about 31 deaths. So as you can see, during this period of time from January 2020 to around June 2020, that was the main period where there was a spike in cases in COVID. And then I'm going to share a lot about how we managed to flatten the curve and ensure that there is minimal cases. And right now, actually, Singapore is going into another kind of like a partial lockdown because a second wave of COVID-19 is happening. So this is the context situation so far. And at the start of COVID-19, so what happened was in December 2019, that was when COVID-19 started, right? Really started to spread around like Asia. And in January 2020, so like just about 1 month after when COVID came into Singapore, there was a formation of the multi-ministry task force on COVID-19. So what this multi-ministry task force is about is that number one, it will direct the national whole of government response to the novel coronavirus outbreak. Number two, it will coordinate the community response to protect Singaporeans and stay vigilant against the spread of the disease. And number three is to work with the international community to respond to the outbreak. So this is the role of the task force, and multi-ministry simply means that there is different ministers from different departments, different areas and sectors coming together to form this task force, so that all of the different sides of the brains will be used, and different area will be taken into account when empathizing with the situation of what the pandemic is affecting civilians' lives and the economy, etc. So this is the multi-ministry task force. This is just some of them. You can see from here is that there is people from Ministry of Health, Ministry of National Development, Communications and Information, Trade and Industry, Environment and Water Resources, the Trade Union, Education, Manpower, Social and Family Development, Minister of Transport. So there it is put together with all of the different agencies and ministries together to form this task force. And whenever there is any updates with regards to the like what is the measures that we're going to be taking and things like that, they will come into like a press conference, like you can see from this picture here. And then questions will be asked from the news agencies, from like the community, and they will answer on the spot. So there's very open communication throughout. Okay, so this is like a very brief timeline at the start of COVID, when things are super uncertain, like people don't know what is the right or wrong thing to do. So I just put for now, January to April first. So in January 2020, there was the first COVID case was reported in Singapore, and it was like an imported case that became a cluster, and it spread it to different clusters in Singapore. And a multi-ministry task force was formed to tackle this situation. So from February to March 2020, there was a spike in community cases in Singapore, and DORSCON Orange was declared, which means that Singapore is at a riskier stage and we need to be a lot more careful. So in April 2020, that was when circuit breaker was announced. Circuit breaker is like a partial lockdown, and I think the government was very careful in phrasing and framing this, because circuit breaker, it means there is this kind of notion that circuit breaker is like, okay, you need, like, we are right now in this together, and it is not like a lockdown where like everyone is all stifled, but rather circuit breaker is where it's like a temporary measure in order for us to flatten the curve, so that the circuit can come back, and then there wouldn't be like a circuit breaker anymore. Yeah, so I thought that was quite smart. So you can see from here that this is like the timeline at the start. So at the start, there was like travel ban on mainland of China, because that was where the cases was coming a lot in China. And then DORSCON raised to orange. Then there was like first migrant worker case detected, and then there were travel bans. And in April, there was like everyone had to wear face masks, and then a circuit breaker was imposed on April 7th. So this is like the timeline. And you can see from here that from February to March, that this is the part where like there was a spike in imported cases based from people who are returning from Singapore, from like UK, US, Japan, Switzerland, etc. And there was subsequent measures as well to ensure that the cases doesn't spread. Yeah, so this is again, like there is the community cases, as well as the imported cases coming from the dorm residents. Okay, So this is a part that I think you guys will be super interested in. Okay, so what is DOSCON or DOSCON? So DOSCON is like a it's like a how do I put it? It is basically there is different color codes. So if I'm not wrong, it's like green, then there's orange, and then there's red. So when it is green, it is things are relatively okay. Yes, correct. Alert levels. Thank you, Ranu. Yes, exactly what you mentioned. It's like alert levels to make sure that we know like, okay, what is the situation right now? Whether we need to take more actions or like we can slacken a little bit, etc. Yeah. So these are the three things that Singapore did to help to ensure that COVID doesn't spread. Okay, which also served as good case practices for many other countries subsequently in how we as a country did it. So the first one is aggressive contact tracing, isolation, and quarantine. The second one is the three-phase approach. And number three is clear and transparent communication. So to build public trust. And I think communication is very, very important because especially in when things are very uncertain, a lot of rumors can spread. And that is when you really need accurate information, especially inside the community. So first and foremost, aggressive contact tracing and isolation and quarantine. So I'm going to share the difference between these three, okay? The first is contact tracing. Second is stay home notice and quarantine order. Okay, I just want to ask in the chat, like you put in the chat, how many of you heard of contact tracing in Singapore before? Just whether you see it in the news or like you see it in different places. Okay, Chandra said you heard it before. You did it in Sri Lanka. Have you heard of how Singapore did it? Okay. So I believe that some of you guys would know and some of you guys wouldn't know. I'm also going to show you guys a video afterwards to share with you. Okay. So it's great that you're inside this call. So I'm first going to share with you a video, then you can watch it first. Okay, let me know if you can hear, okay?
To better protect ourselves and our loved ones against COVID-19, we must start using Trace Together for safe entry check-ins. There are two ways to do this. Option 1. Download the Trace Together app on your mobile phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. Choose your preferred language. Follow the instructions to set up your profile. Once download is completed, remember to turn on Bluetooth and keep the app open in the background. To perform safe entry check-in at the venue, open the app and tap Scan QR. Then scan the QR code and you are done. Option 2. To collect the Trace Together token, check the Token Go Where website for your designated collection venue and start date. You can collect your token once distribution starts in your constituency. You'd need to bring along your identity cards when you're collecting the token for yourself or your family members. Remember to bring your token with you whenever you go out. To check in, show the QR code on your token to the staff on site for scanning. If you have the app, you don't need to get a token. Check that you have updated your app to the latest version. You should see the safe entry features on the home screen. Trace Together identifies close contacts and safe entry helps to identify clusters. Let's play our part in community contact tracing to combat COVID-19.
All right, okay. Oops. Okay, so this is like how contact tracing, okay, at the start, okay, this is more of communication to share with us, like with each of the case, with each of the case, like whether it is linked or unlinked. So if the cases are linked, then it is okay, right? Like you know where the cases came from. For instance, it is like some family and then they spread it to this and then it became a cluster. Then you can still track how COVID was spreading. But if there are cases that's unlinked, which you can see from this, like these kind of cases, then that is when it is tricky because that's when you know that there is community cases and COVID-19, there is the virus variants that is spreading around the community and no one knows where it is at. Yeah. So when when someone is like maybe like a close contact with another person, or like a secondary contact, then they will receive a message or like a notification from the government to ensure that they must stay home for 14 days in order to ensure that, if they have any symptoms or whatnot, they are not out and about and spreading to the community. So it is and how the authorities make sure that they stick to staying at home is that text messages will be sent to them at various times of the day. They'll have to give an update on the location with their GPS on their mobile phone. They might get random house calls and house visits from authorities. And if if you are not at home when the authority come, you will have really bad consequences. Like you might go to jail, or you might I think it's jail and fine. Yeah, it's really very strict in this kind of regulations. So if you get a phone call, you must take a photo of your surroundings and verify your whereabouts as well. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of quarantine order, that's when you have to either be at home and quarantine yourself away from your family, or you have to go to like a hotel and pay for pay 2,000 plus for your 2 weeks stay in the hotel and quarantine yourself. So yeah, that's like the difference. Okay, so there is different communication channels to ensure that there is like a cohesive information that is spread to the people. Like for instance, I give a screenshot here. So this CNA channels News Asia and say that, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong will address the nation on COVID-19 and the circuit breaker measures at 5 p.m. today. Watch it live on CNA's website, Facebook, TV, and things like that. So that's then there will be like live, and information will spread everywhere so that people can come and watch the video. So yeah, so these are the different channels. See, there's like Telegram, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, live stream on YouTube. After the live session, there'll be a summary of live stream on national and community news channels. They'll be put in infographics and everything. Yeah. Okay, let me just stop here for a while. Okay. Yeah. How long does the government prepare for this Trace Together app since the first case announced? It is so amazing that Singapore are very fast in doing this. In terms of the Trace Together, I think it was just maybe about 1 month or 2 months or so, because Singapore is a really small country, right? If COVID spreads, the entire population might be affected in like very, very quickly. So right at the onset, there is different deployment of like the military people, the medical people to come together to contact trace. And before that, it was done manually. Yeah, so it is quite manual at the start, and then subsequently there was like apps update and things like that. And everyone, literally everyone, you need to scan the QR code. You saw the video, right? You need to scan the QR code and show the people that you are entering the mall before you can enter. If not, you can't do that. Yeah, so that's how like you make sure that it's we know where each other is going and things like that. Yeah. So as you can also imagine, a lot of trust needs to be involved, because like you're literally sharing where your location is everywhere. So yeah, that's where public trust comes in. How the government manage people who try to hinder the COVID tracking process, saying that it invades? Yes, that's what I wanted to say. So long story short, actually there is you don't have a choice, because this is for the greater good of the country. Because like it's definitely, there were concerns. If you read the news, there were concerns that, like you have traced together, how will you be using these data and everything? So there was a lot of assurance that is required from the government to say that, okay, when will this data be activated? It will only be activated when perhaps like there is a close contact that's detected, and we need to make sure that we know where your whereabouts are. Yeah, so a lot of communication and like building of trust is really required, because yeah, like what you mentioned, privacy, it is definitely a concern even in Singapore. Yeah, especially in Singapore because of this entire initiative. So contact tracing was initiated in Sri Lanka but not continued as expected like this. Yes, I also think that the perks is Singapore is a small country, and I feel like it's much easier to also roll out this initiative. So I wouldn't say it's a plug and play method, even though different countries can adapt to this. To this. So well organized. Okay, cool. Let me continue. Okay, so there's a three-phase approach. Okay, the three-phase approach, there's like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But before that, there was circuit breaker. Okay, so circuit breaker was a partial lockdown that was announced on 3rd April 2020, for 1 month. Okay, so the Prime Minister came to the live session and it's like, oh, the closure of workplace will take effect from next Tuesday. There will be the work from homes, like entire work from home setting, and only if you need to do essential, you need to do only if you're in essential service, then you can head out, exercise alone, buy groceries and takeaway, see a doctor, comply with court order, and things like that. Okay, so this is like circuit breaker where everyone is at home and you can't go to each other's house as well. So it was very, very strict. So it was said to last for 1 month. And then you can see that once this was announced, there was it triggered like panic buying in Singapore, where okay, it's not a very glamorous sight, but there were lots of people buying like toilet rolls, Maggi noodles, and like instant noodles and everything. So yeah, I think that was like a response from people when like you automatically think that, oh, circuit breaker means that there is a lot more demand than supply, so I need to protect myself, my family, etc. So which led to this. So the government actually came in and said that, guys, chill, we have enough supply for the next month, so like don't worry about it, that kind of thing. So a lot of assurance from the government as well. Yeah. Okay, so halfway through the circuit breaker, there is like a midterm review, right? Like the mid-circuit breaker review. And that was when they said that, oh, there's an extension of circuit breaker to 1st June 2021. Okay, so okay, Singapore, just to have a side note, Singapore is a multiracial country. So every time the Prime Minister comes in and says a speech, he will say it in all of the different languages in Singapore. So English, Chinese, Malay, Tamil, yeah, he'll say it in the four languages. So, okay, so as you can see, there was like COVID-19. I can't believe there's only 5 minutes. So many things I want to share with you. Okay, anyways, this is like the COVID-19 cases after, like from circuit breaker, and you can see that it really helped in ensuring that it doesn't spike and everyone stays home, and yeah, so there is like positive results from this. So after 1st June, everyone has been like in a lockdown for about like 2 months or so, two or more months. And there is 3 phases that was rolled out. Okay, the phase 1 is safe reopening from 2nd June, 2020. Okay, this is 2020. Then the safe transition. So safe reopening is still like, you are still trying to ease out. Then safe transitioning is more things open. You are able to meet like in like maybe groups of 5 instead of groups of 2, for instance. And then subsequently, phase 3 is where we could meet in like groups of 8, and things are pretty much back to inverted commas normal, but you just have to wear masks. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see, there's a lot of infographics that shows that a lot of infographics to ensure that the information is being passed down, like what phase 1 is about, what you can do. Phase 2 is a safe transition, what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, and yeah, basically things like that. A lot of infographics are being circulated to make sure everyone knows what they can do and cannot do. So this is another example. So like phase 1, it will take place for at least 4 weeks. Phase 2 over a few months, and phase 3 is when Singapore enters a new normal until a vaccine is available. So these are the different 3 phases. So number 3 is building public trust through clear and transparent communications. So this is a quote from Mr. Lawrence Wong, who is the co-chair of the multi-ministry task force that I mentioned earlier, and he's also our finance minister. He was recently promoted. So his quote is, "Let's not fall prey to false rumors or succumb to panic." So it is very important in like ensuring that there is no fake news, because fake news can trigger panic and things that you don't want. You don't want the public to be panicking around. Yeah, which phase currently Singapore is right now? Currently like what I mentioned, it seems like we are going to enter into another circuit breaker, but the government is not calling it a circuit breaker yet, because just over the past couple of weeks, at first we are in phase 3 where we can meet in groups of 8. And then within 1 week, we said, okay, you can only meet in groups of 5. And now it's 2 people. So you can really imagine how things are like right now. There's different clusters that is forming because a different variant came into Singapore and it spreads really, really quickly. Yeah. Okay, so this just sharing about like how different communications were done in different in order to ensure clear communication. There is like multi-ministry task force, advisories, and things like that. Okay, I have more important stuff I want to share with you, so I'm going to skip through this. So another example is there's a lot of streamlining of information to ensure credible information source. So for example, there is like a government gov.sg WhatsApp where you can get like information every single day on how many community cases there are and like things like that. Okay, so these are from other news channels where they will share about these updates in a very easy to digest manner so that everyone knows like what's happening. And also another thing is that information is like the ensuring that the information is kept properly and not spread when it's not supposed to be spread is very, very important. So you can see that I just screenshotted this today, that it just came out today, like a public servant is charged under Official Secrets Act for allegedly sharing information on Singapore's post-circuit breaker reopening plans on WhatsApp before it was announced. Yeah, so such examples like this. Okay, so another thing is that advancing as one Singapore. So you can see that there is, I'm very sure in your countries as well, there's a rise in unemployment in your country because, you know, in certain industries, there is like, for example, airline, right? Everyone, they can't work anymore there because like there is not enough demand. There's not enough demand for them to for people to hire them, which is why they are retrenched. So there was a huge unemployment increase in unemployment at the start of COVID, and how the government responded to it is by supporting the citizens through COVID economic downturn. So you can see that there is different budgets like the Unity budget, Resilience, Solidarity, Fortitude, and budget that came in for Singaporeans. So I have linked here if you're interested. You can see in detail what each of the budgets is about and how Singapore supported its citizens through this period of time. So for instance, like if you are out of job, then you can receive more. Oh my God, 1 minute. Okay, you can receive more like support. Yeah, okay. So these are some of the things like having more traineeships in jobs growth incentive for employers to hire Singaporeans, etc. And then the positive results is that, you know, employment grows again. So the 3 resets that that we have to do continue doing moving forward as a country is number 1, a fairer and more equal society as a whole, a greener Singapore. Singapore did take many measures for us to be green as compared to other countries, but there is a lot that we need to do to ensure that we are working towards environmental sustainability, etc. And a stronger spirit of solidarity. Yes, okay. So this is the end of my session. So thank you so much. And if you want to connect, you can connect together on LinkedIn. So thank you for hearing my session. I hope